Well, it was pretty incredible video as you see trans rights advocates gathering to protest and get a little bit violent outside the Texas Women's University in Denton. This was as Governor Greg Abbott inside was signing the law Save Women's Sports Act. Now that act will stop biological males from competing in college-level sports competitions meant for biological females. But Governor Abbott was also joined alongside former NCAA athlete Riley Gaines, who faced that crowd as well. Riley's here with us to talk about that. She's also now the director of the Riley Gaines Center at the Leadership Institute. Riley, welcome in. Always great to have you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So we'll talk about your new title and that institute, which is really exciting in a moment. But first, I want you to kind of describe what you felt as you were walking through this angry mob. It's not the first time you were assaulted by folks. And, you know, when I was just watching it, it just felt like at any moment this could go extremely violent. Just kind of walk us through how that was as you were leaving the Texas University.
Look, this is standard. We've seen this time and time and time again, even in states such as Texas, where you would think this wouldn't happen. It does, which shows you that these issues, these cultural issues, they're plaguing into every state, regardless of where you live. You might think you're in an area that's unaffected, but you're not. It's everywhere. I think it's honestly kind of comical because they do it in the name of love, right? And inclusion and tolerance and acceptance and all of those terms. But how can you watch that video and say that's love? That's hatred. It's vengeful. It's violent. It's really soullessness. But again, it's honestly to be expected at this point.
Well, you say you were spit on, you were pushed. I could hear them screaming, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself. And a similar situation in San Francisco where you had to barricade yourself physically inside a closet, I believe, for an hour and a half because people were coming after you. And none of this stops you from going forward. I mean, are you with increasing your security? I mean, where do you kind of get the strength to kind of walk through this crowd knowing someone could come up and assault you at any moment?
Where I get the strength is my faith. We answer to one entity, and that's God. I know that at the end of the day, He's the only one I have to appease. And so in terms of my strength, that's where I get it from. But in terms of my protection, which is also God, but also the amazing law enforcement and security officers and people involved in that capacity, they're phenomenal. And I have learned that I do have to step that up if I want to remain safe, because I mean, the things that they're yelling they want to do to me for simply advocating for fair play and saying men and women are different, they want to hurt me, right? So I have had to increase the security.
Please be safe. Yeah, in addition to the full armor of God, as you quite rightfully mentioned there. Let's talk about your interview with Bill Maher. It's making some headlines. Some saying it was kind of creepy, the questioning he was asking about genitalia. But you were very clear, and you put it out there. You are saying trans women are not women, which many people agree with, but going firmly on the record there. How was that interview with Bill?
I don't really know what I was expecting. It wasn't really that. You know, sometimes you have to be in an environment where you're not going to agree with someone, and he does agree on this trans issue in sports and stuff, so that's great. We disagree on other fundamental things, such as, you know, Biden versus Trump, all of those different things. But I wasn't really prepared for those questions. I was kind of awkward, like, haha, I don't really know what to say back. I don't really feel as if it's appropriate to discuss what Leah Thomas's genitalia looked like. And regardless, it doesn't matter. We were exposed to it. People know that. And that's kind of all they really need to know that this is wrong and crazy.
Yeah, well, it was a weird line of questioning. Let's get into the positive future you're trying to create with some real action. The Riley Gaines Center at the Leadership Institute in Arlington, Virginia. Tell us what you're doing and what young girls can find out if they attend.
I'm so excited for this because it's something that I wish I had when I began to speak up. We're going to be offering training programs, mentoring services, other resources and support to train leaders, whether that's leaders in the community, leaders among college campuses, which is really important, especially just coming from one. I know what this looks like, and you're essentially deemed a criminal if you're conservative. National leaders, school board leaders, We need people to inspire and people to lead. And that's what the Riley Gaines Center will do. It'll put conservative speakers on college campuses, all kinds of different things. And so I'm really, really excited and looking forward to it.
Well, as a mother of a 17-year-old, certainly more strong women and powerful role models are needed in this world. I got to ask you, finally, you're such a voice for this movement here. You ever consider a future in politics, Riley? Is that something that's crossed your mind?
You know, I tell myself I enjoy policy. I enjoy making impact, but I don't know about the whole political sphere. It's pretty cutthroat. But we need people who are unwavering. And that's one thing that I know I am, is unwavering. So we'll see where the future leads and the direction that God ultimately guides me in.
All right. Well, Riley Gaines, great to have you in today. Please watch out for your safety there. Thanks for sharing, what went down in Texas and a bit more about your new endeavor. And congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You bet. We'll see you back here soon.